welcome to the Cu Chi tunnels here near Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. It's actually not that near, it's about 2 hours away.
Yes.
We just spent all day.
Yeah, literally from like 9 in the morning.
Yeah, it's almost 5 p.m. now. We've just been walking around these relics, this amazing place. I'm American Johnson.
And I'm Luna.
From Luna Oi.
Yeah, look at this.
And yeah, we just wanted to make a video really quick and talk a little bit about some of the sacrifices that were made here in the Cu Chi tunnels, and just the extreme measures they took to liberate themselves. If you want to look behind me over here, you'll see, I mean, that's a Patton tank, armored personnel carriers. There's a Huey. There's a.
All of them we captured from the USA Army, mostly when they left.
Yeah, captured or destroyed. The Patton tank was destroyed. These armored personnel carriers were destroyed. So, I mean, and they were, I'll show you some footage here. They were the people who were fighting against these massive war machines, these industrial war machines, were farmers, you know, in this Cu Chi region. And they were
just normal, like young and old and children in the south of Vietnam.
They were digging out tunnels over a period of 20 years. It was
nearly 200 miles.
They had schools down there. They had hospitals. They had, they were eating and drinking down there, living down there, sleeping down there. It's just amazing that they were able to do this. And under horrifying circumstances, at any given time during the Cu Chi Tunnel campaign, half of the people, 50% of the people in the tunnels had, let's just sit on this Huey. Let's just sit in this old Huey helicopter here. That's a normal thing to do in a YouTube video. Yeah, there over half of the people in the Cu Chi tunnels at any given time had malaria. 100% of them, according to reports from the Viet Cong, had terrible parasites in their stomachs. So yeah, I mean that's not the kind of situation you want to be in, where you're having to fight machines like this, like this helicopter, these tanks, these big howitzers and artillery pieces we have behind us. They fought against impossible odds, and that's why it kind of upsets me when I talk to people, doomers who say that it's going to be impossible to convince people that we should, defund and abolish the police, or it's going to be impossible to try to push Biden to the left. I mean, I was talking to somebody, of course, on Twitter. I like to complain on Twitter nowadays on these YouTube videos, but I was talking to somebody on Twitter, and I was saying, we need to push Biden to the left, and somebody was saying, oh, we can't, that's not possible, that's not realistic, that's not likely. We just need to work on trying to contain COVID right now so that we can survive to fight. And how are you going to contain COVID if you're only going to be working within this very limited liberal framework, this liberal Overton window?
Their ideologies cannot fix the situation. It doesn't help.
And Biden has said straight up that he's not going to shut down the economy or the non-essential businesses. He's not going to. He will veto universal health care. These are the he says he wants to listen to scientists, and this gets the liberals all excited, but he's not going to do the things that the scientists say will work. The scientists say that universal health care and shutting down non-essential businesses and pausing the economy pausing capital's profits for a brief period of time, that's what worked in Vietnam. And Biden's not going to do that. So, and I'm not really here just to complain about Biden right now. That's not really the point. The point is the doomer attitude that I see people having, where they're saying, it's impossible to do this or it's impossible to do that. It's going to scare people off if we talk about radical things.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I mean, don't you think that these people were scared, and they were going around to their neighbors and saying, hey, why don't you join the revolution,
Don't you think that's a situation now that you have to cope with? It's fucking scary. It's fucking scary. I
mean, people are dying right now in the USA, but I still think that the situation, the material conditions in the USA are more conducive to revolutionary activity than the situation they had here, where they were dropping, what was it, 300 pounds?
For this district only, a half a million ton of bomb.
Yeah, that works out to about 3 kilograms, about 6 pounds of bombs per square meter. Dropped in this area. That's incredibly bad material conditions to be fighting a revolution, and yet they did it. So I guess this is just a video where we want to say, have some hope, have some cheer, have some positivity. Things are bad in the US right now. I'm not going to say they're not. They're awful. Probably, worse in a lot of ways than they've ever been in my lifetime. And yet, I believe we can persevere. I believe that we can have a radical revolutionary spirit, just like the comrades in the Cu Chi tunnels here had, you know, about 60 years ago. A lot of those people are still alive. You know, that's the wild thing about this. And I'm sure that if we had a conversation with them right now, they'd tell you it was scary back then. I don't think that any of them would deny that. You know, Luna knows people who fought in the war. I've talked to people who fought in the war. Everyone I've talked to said that they were scared. I talked to a lot of people in Hanoi who were in the bombings, you know, when they were carpet bombing Hanoi.
Scared.
Yeah, they were scared. They were terrified. Terrible things happened to them, but they kept fighting. And they believed that they could win, which is just like Fred Hampton was saying back in the 60s during another horrible time of American history. You have to believe you can win before you can win.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think the people in these Cu Chi tunnels, as they were scraping out that hard clay to make these tunnels and sitting in the tunnels as they were being carpet bombed and, you know, setting traps and doing all the horrible things that they had to do that I'm sure they didn't want to do.
Yeah, and they did it in 20 years, not just in 20 days.
I'm sure that they believed that they could win.
Yeah.
You know, despite those horrible odds. So, I don't know, we just both feel a little bit touched right now. We feel inspired, honestly. You know, it's some terrible things that we saw. The traps were very disturbing, but it shows that you can do a lot with very little. They were sharpening bamboo sticks and they were, you know, taking the bombs that were dropped by the Americans and pulling the gunpowder out of them. It was a very dangerous process to make mines and to make bombs.
Yeah.
I mean, they were doing this, they had nothing. Material conditions are better in the USA.
And book medicine home or like armor home, but no.
The Socialist Rifle Association has been assembling first aid kits. We helped them with the fundraiser there. That's the stuff we got to do. We got to have these mutual aid projects. We got to be getting material support for our comrades. We need to be donating to jail funds, bail funds. And one thing I saw in there in the tunnels that was particularly inspiring were the schools that they built.
Yeah.
I mean, here in the Cu Chi region, they would have had access to schools that were built by the bourgeois South Vietnamese puppet government. But they built their own schools in the tunnels, and they were teaching their children in the tunnels. As all that was going on, as they were fighting this like drastic war, they had schools that they built themselves. That's a powerful dual power structure that they had. There's a fly buzzing around this. You know, we could be doing things like that right now. There's nothing stopping us, you know, maybe not necessarily schools, but if they could build schoolhouses in the Cu Chi tunnels to educate their children, you know, the way that they wanted them to be educated instead of sending them to the bourgeois puppet government schools. If they could do that under those circumstances, think of the kinds of dual power structures we could be building. I just want to inspire you, comrades. Luna's going to be coming out with a video probably in a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. So make sure you subscribe to her channel. She will walk you through the Cu Chi tunnels and tell you the inspiring story of the amazing comrades who fought and died and sacrificed a lot for the freedom of this country, the independence of this country. But until that time, I just want you all to reflect on your circumstances right now and think about, is there more that we can be doing? And I'm thinking about that myself. What more can I be doing? You know, Luna and I are gonna be having conversations about how we can materially and, you know, ideologically support the revolution more in the weeks to come.
Exactly.
But we can all be doing more, and we have got to get rid of this doomer attitude. It's the worst attitude, and it's so disappointing. Like if you think that it's impossible to change somebody's mind about abolishing the police, or if you think that it's impossible to push Biden to the left or to circumvent Biden and build our own dual power structures, our own mutual aid programs, if you think it's impossible to wage a revolutionary war in the US right now, then we've already lost.
You're right. It's very important to keep the hope, even though you know that the situation is all against you. Keeping hope is very, very, very important.
You got to keep the hope alive, and even when things are at their worst, seemingly at their worst. I mean, we've been going to these museums and stuff while we've been in Ho Chi Minh City. You know, we saw people who were in prison for decades, and Ho Chi Minh couldn't come back to Vietnam for years and years on end, and yet he kept fighting for his country. So if they could do it, you can do it. We can do it together, comrades. So. Yeah, I don't know what this is, if this is a pep talk or I don't know how to classify this video. We didn't really plan to make it, but we were just walking back to our motorbike to go back home, and we just felt like it was something we needed to share with you. So I hope you will take this into consideration. I hope you will feel as inspired as we are right now by these incredible people who fought this incredible battle for decades.
It just happened like 40 years ago.
Wasn't that long ago? They started with nothing. You know, they were literally having to sharpen sticks to fight against Patton tanks and armored troop transports.
Bamboo sticks.
So if they could do it, you know, if they could fight that war under their circumstances, we can do it too. That's the message we just want to present to you today. I guess that's it for now. Anything else you want to add, Luna?
Keep hope and keep fighting. And thank you for watching.
I'm American Johnson.
And I'm Luna.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Việc cầm bấm thế thôi. Ngắm
vô
rồi.
lên đèn xong
Rồi. Xong rồi đi bạn này đúng không anh?
kéo mạnh thả ra. Phải không?
Very strong. Okay.
Rồi vậy lên lấy cái ngắm rồi xong rồi bắn súng đưa vô vai mình á. Đúng rồi. Hơi hạ xuống xuống, đúng rồi.
Okay. Ah!
Ha ha ha.